You know, the year 2021 has been a really big year for pinball. A lot of developments, and especially a lot of developments coming from American pinball. And so we've got the whole crew here. Many of you have already seen that Pin Game Journal number 167 with the game announcement there, but there's still more news. So to introduce the whole crew from American Pinball, here's Nirmal Vasani.
Thank you, David, for the kind introduction. And thank you to everyone out in the audience. I know some of you have traveled from quite far to make it here. And I really wish that we could have hosted you with better weather, but welcome to Chicago. Since I got here, I've had two main questions fielded my way. One is, hey, how are you? How have you been during the pandemic? And the other is, what happened to that weird-ass costume you wore last year? And to both, I've sort of just shrugged and said, it's just that kind of year. With that, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to see all of you once again. And I would like to introduce a very good friend of mine and someone who has joined our team since the last time we've met. Everyone, this is a name that you all know very well. Please put your hands together for David Fix.
Thank you, Nirmal. So, hey guys, we're here. This is great. Let me step back, get out of the feedback. So, we have Frank, who is with Riot, who did the software for Legends of Valhalla. We have Scott Gullick, who is the chief designer. Is somebody's phone ringing? It's not mine. I have it shut off. No, I don't. Sorry, Steve. I'm in the seminar. I'll talk to you later. That was priceless. That's Steve Rosario, our plant production manager. He got into the seminar. Of course, we got Josh Kugler, our lead software, and we have Michael Grant, our sales manager. But these four guys are not the only people at American Pinball. I see Dave Brennan. Dave Brennan, please stand up. Dave is our service tech. When you guys have problems, Dave's the guy on that phone line. Dave's the guy that's making sure those videos get out there so that we have that. I think I have Jonathan Stevens sitting in the back. Stand up, Jonathan. Take a bow. There's Jonathan. He looks familiar. We'll tell you about that at another time. We have Casey Butler, and I think Jack Hager is here too. Where are you, Jack? Stand up there, Jack. That's the art director. Good friend. We have a few more, but they're not here yet, but that's okay. But oh, Joe Schober. There he is. Joe and Steve, stand up, guys. Stand up. Steve Bowden and Joe Schober. In fact, thank you. Hey, Steve, why don't you come up here and join us? Get up here. We'll get another chair. Steve. So, you know, we've been doing a ton of work over the last 10 months. And here comes the chair. Steve, grab that chair behind you. We've been doing a ton of work, and I have to thank all the hard workers at American Pinball. I know they're out there. They've been working hard to bring Scott and Frank's dream to a reality and put it here on this floor. And I really am thankful for that. And I'd like to turn this over to Josh, who's going to talk a little bit more about stuff. And then we're going to have some giveaways. And then we have some question and answers. And then we have an announcement. So first, let's have Josh. Would you like to share with us some of the new advancements we've done?
I want to just do a quick update on our other games before we dive into Valhalla. Houdini, as many of you know, we did a stream a while back with Jack Danger showing off our new team play. That code will be officially released shortly after our seminar today, so it can be downloaded off of our site. It has the team play, it has some new Magic Hat jokes in there, some new sounds, some other fixes associated with it. Right now in our booth here at the show, the Houdinis have team play, as does Hot Wheels. So our Hot Wheels here are equipped with team play, and we are going to make that code available as an open beta also on our website later tonight for people who want to download it and try it. We haven't gotten fully through the QA cycle. Steve's working on that. And if there are any issues, I'm going to blame Steve, because rule number one is you always blame the new guy, who's been pounding on the game, as has Michael. But we're not quite full all the QA we want, but we're going to make that available for people who want to start playing with team play. Real quick, to activate team play in our games, just hold the right flipper button in until the message about team play comes on the screen. Hit start, enter the number of players, and at the start of each player's turn, they pick which team they want to be on. Teams can be 2 against 2, 1 against 2, 1 against 3, or all 4 together to get there to defeat Draven and to become a Hot Wheels legend. We will also be bringing team play to Oktoberfest. Joe and I are working on some other little things we want to get into that release, just things that have been on our list. So I expect that'll probably start a beta probably in 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully we'll have that out before the end of the year as an official release. It struck me earlier today that the last time Scott and I were on a stage together at Expo was in 2013. We were on the stage together for a seminar on homebrew games. 2013, I would say, might have been the birth of homebrew or the renaissance of homebrew. Really thanks to Jerry Stellenberg from Multimorphic. I don't know, is Jerry here by any chance? Jerry's on the show floor. And Jerry was the one who introduced the P-Rock, which allowed a lot of us to take those dreams and make them a reality. We did a seminar together. Our machines were next to each other in Jerry's booth that year, my Kugler family machine and Wrath of Olympus. And Scott's laughing because I had the volume turned up really loud because Star Trek was behind me and it was making me crazy. So I cranked up my game, and I think it was making him crazy. But that's when we first met each other, and there's a really strong bond in that homebrew community. And I can't remember who was there that year. I think the Dutch Pinball guys were there for the first time then. They were there. I don't remember Eric Perky's Cactus Canyon Continued was that year or the next. Scott Denisi first did Earthquake Aftershock before TNA. I think TNA was a year or 2 later than that. But just a lot of the people who were in that early days of homebrew have now worked their way into the business, and that's one of the great things about being up here with these guys, was helping them bring their dream to reality. And when they had done Wrath of Olympus, Joe Balser and I went and visited Frank. We looked at the game, we went through it, and we all talked at the time, and it just wasn't a right fit for us based on what was going on with American Pinball at the time and the game, but we talked about it, and Scott was very focused on the next game, doing it in a way that we could bring it to production and make it happen. And when I first saw Legends, I reached out to Scott and I said, let's talk, because I think you knocked it out of the park. And when you play the game, when you shoot this game, it immediately pulls you in. It's a game you immediately just really makes you smile, you enjoy. Anybody who watched the stream we did the other night, I think that really came through. It just pulls you into the game. One of the things we did do when we brought it in was we brought Matt Kern, our sound guy, into the mix. The music track was already great. We brought Matt in to help punch up the vocals, although we re-recorded Jeff Teolis, right? We kept Jeff in there, but we brought in some voice actors and we beefed that up. And I think that it's such an immersive experience now. But we were great to bring it in, and I'm sure Scott will probably have a very different take on it. But it's been great for us to do it, and I was glad to bring these guys in. And why don't you guys tell us a little bit about the backstory of where you guys started in completely different cities across the globe, and how maybe that came together first for the first game and now for Valhalla.
Great. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, just first off, I know Frank and I are on cloud 9 right now that we're up in front of you guys at all. To be here today, I didn't expect, but I know Frank and I have been working our butts off for the last 3 years on Valhalla, and it's just been awesome to see it come together, and it's been awesome working with American Pinball. Their team is amazing. The people that I was working with, Michael Grant doing the play testing, Zofia doing the mechanical design, translating all my 3D CAD into 2D engineering drawings, and Josh, all your feedback with Frank and Jeff Teolis doing the audio call-outs, and Jack Hager. I mean, there's so many people that brought this all together. So where it was a big project that Frank and I have been working on, it really still took the entire team to get it to be a production level. So even though we talk about homebrew being homebrew, it does take, in my opinion, after going through this, a full team to really make a production-ready game. And all of the little extra assets made the difference, especially like Matt Kern the biggest feedback that we got back from the initial prototypes, I think, was, you know, that we could use some better audio cues, a little bit higher level audio in general, and he just nailed it out of the park, and he worked really well with Frank to get that done. But moving on from that, yeah, so if you've read the Pin Game Journal from Jim, he did an awesome job kind of outlining a little bit of Frank and I's backstory, but Frank and I kind of met online, actually, which kind of sounds a little funny, but it all...
It wasn't online dating.
Yeah. Was it VP Forums?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started kind of getting into pinball by getting excited around digital pinball cabs. And I built a digital pinball cab, thought it was cool, sold it, and then made a much better one. And then I thought, hey, we got this awesome tool that you can actually design a 3D pinball machine. So I started working on that with Wrath Olympus. And if anybody's in the digital pinball community, you know who JP Salas is. He's probably the #1, I don't know, most prolific and best 3D pinball designer out there. And he's got probably, what, 300 legitimate games that he's duplicated in the 3D world. And I reached out to him to see if he would help me with Wrath Olympus and get it finished from a 3D perspective, because my skill set really isn't software. And without hesitation, this man that lives over in Europe jumped on it and got it done, and it just got the game to the next level. Gave me enough confidence to actually build a real one. And when I started building the real one, that's where Frank and I connected. And Frank jumped in, all in, and helped me out with getting Wrath Olympus up to speed and getting a complete game with full code. And we had 6 prototypes built for that. So it was about 3 years ago when we got the itch to start this again. And I think, you know, for living 1,000 miles away, he lives in Pennsylvania, I live in Wisconsin, we've been doing all our development just via Skype. And about 3 years ago, we both sent an email on the same day saying we wanted to start a new project. And that was kind of how Valhalla started. And maybe, Frank, I'll let you give a little more details on that.
Sure. So we have very similar taste in pinball games. You know, we have collections, both of us, and we both like really fast games, and we also like a lot of action. And we started discussing themes, and you know, I said it would be really great to have this theme, and he said it would be really great to have that theme. And then Scott came up with the Viking theme and the legends of the Vikings, really the whole mythology around it, where you had these Vikings that were just these big snarly guys that would take lands, but yet they had beliefs in different gods and monsters and legends. So he said, wouldn't it be cool, maybe we can make a game about the Legends of Valhalla? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So then we started, kind of coming up with ideas. It would be great if we had this, if we had that. You know, how many monsters would we have? How many legends would we have? What kind of a layout would we have? So Scott was able to create like an initial layout, and this time I said we really should start in the virtual space. So I took his layout and I put it into Visual Pinball, and then I made a playable game from his drawings and from his design. And then we started going back and forth on the different shots and what legends we would battle and what kind of animations or stills we would have on the screen, what kind of music. And that just all continued to develop and develop over the years. And then he was able to get some interest from some other people to make 7 prototypes. Do you want to talk about that, making the prototypes?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so once we started moving ahead, then we started looking at prototypes. So Frank had his virtual game going, which was really cool for all you guys that are doing the homebrew stuff. He was actually able to program in virtual pinball, but then cross it over into our physical game platform using whatever bridge with Jerry Stellenberg's P3. So I still remember one of the coolest things about this project was when we first got my whitewood up and flipping, Frank was sitting at home 1,000 miles away, and I had my iPad on my whitewood, and he was connected into the computer driving the whitewood. And, you know, back with Wooly, Wi-Fi really was just kind of getting going. You know, the idea that you'd have a pocket PC programming and running a pinball machine that could be Wi-Fi enabled was not even something you thought of. But that moment, about, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Frank was sitting 1,000 miles away and hitting keystrokes and literally playing the prototype in my basement in Wisconsin. So it was really pretty remarkable. And from there, we just kept taking it to the next level. We improved the build. Charlie from Spooky Pinball helped me out immensely by getting real direct print playfields and plastics, and we really were able to put together 7 really great prototypes that, you know, we've been testing for over a year now. Brad Baker's another really good friend of mine. He helped out making the cabinets. He had one of the 7 prototypes at the Pinball Garage in Hamilton, Ohio. And that was invaluable to have a game on location, getting beat up every day, and getting that feedback, which really helped taking it into production and leveraging that knowledge ahead of time to really make this game as good as it could be. So, you know, and then once we got it into AP, we had this fantastic staff playing it. Michael Grant put, I don't know how many hours on testing it, just finding bugs, finding ways for improvement, checking things out. And it was awesome. I don't know, Michael, do you want to talk about that process a little bit?
Michael and I were actually tag team beating up on Frank, so that wouldn't feel like I was always beating up on him or Michael was always beating up on him. Say, okay, you tell Michael, you tell him this time about the issues. Right?
Sure. So yeah, working with Frank on the communication to the player was most important to me. You know, I'd ask questions. Why? What's your intentions here? Why are these shots this color? I think it would make more sense with this. Or, you know, we should really consider adding a ball save for the scoop. You know, the scoop eject, things like that. The information on the screen, callouts. You know, I was able to contribute writing the script for callouts. So that process was really fun, and Frank was really open to suggestions and making the game as good as it can be. Also, finding ways to break the game, looking for bugs. You know, we set up streaming equipment, so I'd record the video, and would email it to Frank and send him the logs. And like, hey, this happened at this point. Check it out. What do you think? And together, we're able to refine the game, make it as fun as it can possibly be, and we're really excited for everyone to get out there and play it. And it's been a blast, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And I'm privileged to get paid to play pinball. It's the dream job. So really happy.
So Frank, I've been trying to prepare Frank that he's about to start getting suggestions from hundreds of other people for the game. So if he thought it was hard with Michael and I and others throwing at him, you're about to enter a whole new world.
Well, that's great. You know, I can't thank Josh enough either, because I had a very rudimentary framework that we really needed to upgrade to a more stable American Pinball framework, and Josh was you know, very instrumental in doing that, and also changing the resolution of all the assets, creating new assets. Scott was kind enough to create all new art assets, and then having the sound engineer replace all my, shoot from the hip type call-outs with professional call-outs, and getting Jeff to reprise his character as Odin in the game was really what we really wanted to have. So. I think the package turned out fantastic, and but really you're going to be the judge of it. So there's 6 games out there that you can play and really experience the game. You'll hear the Two Steps from Hell soundtrack. You'll hear all the professional callouts, the great LED technology that American Pinball uses in their lamps and their monitor, the commercial grade monitors that they use, just really nice equipment. Like when I got my Whitewood to do testing, I was just really blown away by the electronics that they use in the game. So really great stuff. So I hope we enjoy the game, and they'll be here all 4 days, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
then we're going to MGC. Then they'll probably be at Houston. Then I think at Fantastic. I know IEP is on the list. I mean, all the trade shows, unfortunately, have now just hit one week after another, and I'm going to be not home for a while. Sorry, honey, I'm not going to be around. But Steve got to play the game an awful lot, too, and he's been putting his little take in on it. Steve, you want to share a few thoughts of what do you think?
Sure. I'll just start off and saying life is strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Life is strange. I realize I am, as I told these gentlemen earlier, I am the Johnny-come-lately of the group, as evidenced by the color of my tag as opposed to everyone else's. But even so, I am very, very pleased to be on this stage with these gentlemen here. I mean, what they have produced and as soon as I got to AP and was put in front of Valhalla, I said, this game is a butt kicker. All right. It in a good way. Like, the casual player will definitely do some good work on it, and the pro player will be tested, right? And I'm glad to see that. And so I'm looking forward to this game getting some spotlights on some stages and some live streams and some commentary, hopefully with me commentating on it. We'll see. But that will be a great moment. I'm looking forward to that happening. But yeah, this game is great. The flow. I'm getting comments about the flow most often about it. I'm getting comments about how you got to make sure you make your shots, or you will be punished duly. You will be justifiably punished for it. I'm getting comments about the number of modes, about the flexibility of combos, about it's a lot of things that have really come together on this. That I just can't say I can't wait to see what's in the future for this team, and especially with you two gentlemen. I mean, personally, congratulations on what you've done. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Maybe have Frank tell us a little bit about the rules, because when people
Sure,
step up to the
yeah.
game, give us.
But
just a
Scott's got
quick-
one point he wants to bring out first. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Scott.
I was just going to say, Steven just paid me one of the best compliments a few minutes ago when he said it was a butt kicker just like Iron Man. So I was like, that's awesome, because Iron Man's one of my favorite games. It's, it was one of the more stripped back models back then, but for what they put in, it's just such a fun, fast, furious game. And I've got 15 pinball machines in my basement, and every time somebody that comes over to my house that's new, that's the game they play the most. There's something about like having a short game but having a fun game and still finding rewards in it, and that was something I really wanted to try to bring into Valhalla. And I think for a lot of people that are out there trying to design new games, it's easy to put a 3-inch wide ramp and a 3-inch orbit and make every shot butter smooth, but if there's no challenge, if there's no butt kicking, it just gets repetitive and it gets boring. And just to pay Keith Alwyn some credit, he's figured out how to do that on every single game he's made, and that is a challenge. And it's a challenge to all the homebrew people out there and all the designers that, to come up with something. I think that you can have those rewarding shots, you can have those difficult shots, and you can still have a fun game that does kick your butt. It's really cool, and I think I did do my best to bring it in Valhalla.
You sure
And-
did. It was well done.
And when you see the game, if you haven't played it yet, for being a standard body game, there are 11 different shots where the ball actually goes through a separate ball path. So when I look at games, I really look at, okay, I want this ball to go through and do something new and unique, and that's what I try to bring to my games. And on this game, I've got 11 different shots. We've got that upper flipper that has 2 different mechanisms to get the ball there. We've got the fast shot around the right orbit where you can hit a super fast shot then into the inner loop underneath the ship, or up to the ship, or to the drop target, or to the lock targets. And if you want to get into the ship a little more accurately, you can always hit the spinner shot, which is a little loop that goes underneath the left ramp, which slows the ball down just a little bit to give you a little more time to hit those inner loops, hit the Kraken target, or hit the ship to lock balls. It's just, I tried to give the player as many options as they could for speed, variability, and a method to actually get through the game the way they want to.
Well, let's have Frank tell us a little bit about the rules.
So Legends of Valhalla is it's a quest game. So it's gods and monsters. Basically, you're battling the legends. So you begin by choosing if you want to go for a task-oriented play or if you want to go for battle-oriented play. So battle-oriented play will get you to the Ragnarok wizard mode, and task-oriented play will get you to Valhalla. So the fun thing about it is I tried to feed the task play from the battle play. So if you choose battle, you're still going to be completing your tasks. If you choose tasks, you're still going to get some features that you need for the battles. So that way, depending on how well you're doing in either the task play or the battle play, you might switch your strategy midstream and go for something else. So there's 16 different battles that you can battle, and there's 8 different tasks that you can try to complete. So we also have a 3-ball physical locking Viking ship, which is quite fun. We have several C multi-balls tied to that. We have 5 multi-ball modes in the battles, and we have a few other multi-ball modes throughout the game. There's 2 6-ball multi-ball modes. One is the wizard mode, and the other is a ship-based Viking raid, which is very difficult to get. So that's another kind of mini wizard mode. So it's lots of fun. Each mode or battle has its own soundtrack. So you'll know right away by the color of the inserts, or by the light shows, or by the call-outs, the character, or by the music. So you'll always know, oh, I'm in this mode because I remember the music, you know. So I think I hope you enjoy it, and I'd like to hear your strategy. Sure, yeah. So you shoot the scoop, but there's actually 3 entrances to start the battle. You can either shoot the scoop, or you can shoot behind the middle left flipper, or you can shoot the right shooter lane. So there's 3 ways to start a battle. And once you start the battle, you can't start another battle until you complete it or it times out, if it does time out. And then when you're done with your battle, you can start a non-battle, which might be a hurry-up, or it might be a special mode like Escape the Kraken, where you try to hit the ship, and the Kraken, his magnet tail is basically whipping your ball away from the ship. So a very challenging mode. And then the tasks are either things that you would collect, or things that you will find while you're playing the game. And then you light the tasks based on those completions.
One of the things I'd just like to expand on, I hate pinball machines that are chopping wood. And we tried really hard to make sure that this game was not chopping wood. And a lot of the games I found that have a lot of modes, you end up having to do the same repetitive thing over and over and over again to light the modes. One of the things that Frank and I actively looked at in this game is we give you 4 modes lit right off the start. And because they're kind of important, and to me it's the most fun part of pinball, like Lord of the Rings is my holy grail, and I think the way Gomez tied that in along with the programmer to the actual game, and the layout and the license was just remarkable. But in Valhalla, we kind of want to do something similar, where we start with 4 modes right off the bat, and we're giving the player 3 different ways that they can get to start that mode. So if you just have a hell of a time trying to hit that scoop to start it, you can backhand or hit from the right flipper underneath the upper mid flipper to start, which is a pretty high reliability shot, I found. Or you can hit it to the right, like Frank said, that it goes down into the shooter lane to start the mode. So there's 3 different ways that you can get those going. And to avoid the issue of, you know, how do you relight more modes and avoid the chopping wood, we have this cool feature in where as you're playing, you're collecting weapons. And the more weapons you collect unlocks larger tiers. So instead of having to hit the same thing over and over and over again to do it, we have this method where when you hit the left ramp, it calls out a weapon. It'll say crossbow. And then we purposely have an audio call out so that you don't have to visually look at the pinball playfield and out of 50 lights see which one is blinking now. You can hear it and you can know, okay, if I hit that crossbow shot, I collect a weapon. And now that I've collected enough weapons, I unlock the next tier. And the next tier now has 4 new modes, higher difficulty, higher points, and they keep going up to a total of 4 tiers for a total of 16 modes. And as you can probably guess, our 4th tier has the gods. It has Thor, Balder, and Tyr, and Loki, I think. So we've put some really cool mechanics in place where, you know, there's a lot of mode-based play where you're focused on specific shots during the game, but starting those modes and getting them going is not a chore. And I think it's something that Frank's done just a really great job of doing and implementing in the game.
I would agree with that.
Each tier has a multi-ball, so that's the other thing. You start
Yeah.
to learn is that opens up that next multi-ball for you. And I can't always remember which is which. And yes, I got the right one.
Right. And I don't tell you which ones.
No.
You have to
Keep it
Steve
given.
already has it, though. I mean, it's amazing. amazing how quickly he has basically mastered the rules almost immediately. It's kind of shocking, actually.
Yeah. So you know, Frank, you're going to get a lot of more emails, not from just Michael and Josh, but now Steve's got a list too. So and more others. We're going to do. I got some giveaways. I got some beautiful back glasses that I'd like to give away. Legends of Valhalla. So I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to give you. And I also have a major prize to give away tonight. So, first question is: we've been calling it Legends of Valhalla. Does anybody know what the code name was at American Pinball? It's been leaked about 1 million times, but no American Pinball employees may speak this name. All right, go ahead. Rampage it is. Yes, very good. Now, why did I call it Rampage? You got the first part, but why did I call it Rampage? Come on. Well, pick your grab it. You don't have to answer this. Anybody else has got it? Raise your hand. I'm going to answer that next question. Why did I call it Rampage? Does anybody know? Yeah, go ahead. That's a good one, but no, that's not it. Any other guesses? In the back? The Vikings go on. That's close. That's close. One last. Yeah. No. I do like the midway game, but that's not why. And that's not because some other podcaster talked about Rampage. That wasn't it either. Go ahead. More than 2 ramps and a bash target. Well, that would, yeah, definitely. No, go ahead. That's it. That's absolutely it. The insert in the main lane says start Rampage. So immediately I thought this is going to be good.
Which is honestly one of my favorite modes in the game. So when you hit the middle ramp, you start spelling Rampage. And when you light Rampage, you go on a rampage. And every shot's lit for, 5 seconds or 3 seconds? So if you hit a lit purple shot, that shot is now worth 2x if you hit it again. If you hit that same purple shot again, it's now worth 3x. And as long as you keep hitting purple shots before the timer runs out, you keep adding shots and points to the playfield. So it's kind of like all of a sudden you're just trying to hit everything on the playfield, maximize your scoring, and keep doing it before that darn timer runs out. So that's Rampage in Valhalla.
Awesome. All right. How about some? Do you guys have any questions? Do you guys have any questions you want to ask the crew out here? See if you can come up with a quiz question. Which one? Mine or theirs? Sorry. We can ask the sound crew. Yeah, I'll eat it. How's that sound? Does that sound better? Okay. Scott, you had a question? Or
I'm just curious, has anybody here played Wrath of Olympus and Legends of Valhalla? What's your guys' take? Which one of you enjoyed the gameplay more or the rules more? Just curious.
That's a really bad question. I don't know why that's a really bad question. Because there's only about 3 or 4 people in this room who have had enough time on the game to be able to properly assess and evaluate a game. We need to change this tenor that you could play a game once and decide it's a good game or not.
That's very
so I encourage people to really put some time on it before you decide it's a game. Now, I think it pulls you in immediately, but I'll tell you, I think they're very different games. I think I like your new game better. I like the flow of it, but I need to play Wrath of Olympus again. So I need you to bring it down back to the office, bring it down so we can have it for a while and play it some.
so are you hinting
Good
at
point.
what might be the next AP game? So I will tell you guys, this is not one and done. We are talking about another game from Scott and Frank. So now, a lot of people have been on Scott's web page. This is the next trivia question. I just thought of it. What's the drawing of another game that Scott has on that web page? Does anybody have an idea? All right, first row. Alice in Wonderland. Very good. So that was a good one. Don't. It is glass. It is glass. Yes, yes. It is a silkscreen back glass. Yeah. We don't do cheap translights at American Pinball. We do some good glass. I think, what did I get? Sorry. Don't mean to shade anybody. What's the difference between that back glass and the one that's in all the deluxes? Right on second seat. Yes, it's mirrored. Yes, you get one too. I think we're out of. So let's open it up a little bit to questions. I actually got one more back glass, and then we're going to give away the big prize. But we're going to start, maybe ask some questions. Do you guys want to ask some questions to Frank, Scott, the rest of the team? I'm thinking this might be a good time to get that out. So if you want to ask a question, raise your hand. I'll be right over to help get your answer. Okay, let's start here.
I want to know Scott's dream theme.
What's your dream theme, Scott?
Well, I've got a handful of them, but if you look at my basement right now, I probably have 500 or 600 Masters of the Universe characters and toys. So I could do that theme. That'd be pretty awesome.
Okay. Here's another question.
Houdini in the early games had used the P-Rock system, I believe, and I remember it was announced that American was developing their own system and board set a little while ago, but I didn't catch if games had started implementing them yet. Have they come yet?
All of our games run on the P-Rock right now. We're really happy with this system.
Yes.
These games use a mix of boards, so we use the P-Rock, we use some driver boards from Multimorphic, we use some of our own driver boards. Our LED system is our LED system. One of the things, and that was one of the changes we had to make since the prototypes were using Jerry's board, but we actually went through the effort to make sure that the current owners of the 6-7 games that were made can actually run the new software. So we added some translation layers to keep that. Those people put a lot of support in Frank and Scott, and we kind of wanted them to still be able to enjoy all the hard work that's gone in since. There's obviously some things they don't get, like controllable spotlights and the backglass brightness control and some of those things, but their games can still take advantage of all of the other improvements, the sound improvements, and all of the work that Frank's put in.
Yeah, I just want to thank Frank again for that and thank American Pinball. I had 5 other guys get prototypes and put their faith in us, and when I was setting up the agreement with American Pinball, it was really good that we were able to make sure that those guys got whole again as well. And for anybody that's out there doing this work, they know how much time goes into it. And poor Frank here basically was developing code for 2 games at the same time because he had to make sure that everything he was doing was working on his game and the other 6 games, as well as all the games that were getting scaled up with American Pinball, and the different parts of the software, which I frankly know hardly anything about. He did a great job and was able to keep everybody happy. And I know the other owners are just on cloud 9 that they get the latest and greatest with the new assets, the audio, the video, and they've come along for the ride and they get to see it through too. So.
And we love that for that. Here's a question for you, Scott. There's a little change on the AP game and the original game. What is it?
Yeah, so the biggest mechanical change, which David pushed really hard for and caused me a lot of heartache.
I didn't push just you. I pushed the whole team.
Yeah.
We were trying everything.
Well, it was an awesome suggestion, though. But on our prototypes, we have a post that's on the main orbit that comes up to help stop the ball and have it go through the rollovers up there. It's tied into a couple modes, and it's tied into one of the tasks that Frank was talking about. And the post works great on our games, but it's kind of anticlimactic. The ball comes whipping around, it hits it, and just falls down. And David thought about putting a magnet there instead. And when I first looked at my CAD database, these magnets are like 3 inches big, and we've got all these posts and nuts on the bottom sides and switches and all this other stuff, and it just wasn't fitting. And over the course of this project, I did almost all this remotely, but I was still at AP, I think, about 6 or 7 times over the course of the 10 months, and I'd come there for a few days, and I think we had a really good afternoon with me, Mitesh, and Sophia just grinding over the bottom of the playfield trying to figure out how we could get this in, and we ended up we ended up figuring it out and getting it in, and now we have this really awesome feature that ties better into the game overall. That we've got this magnet, and we put a really high-powered magnet in there, so when that ball goes screaming around the orbit, that magnet catches it. And we've got Thor's hammer, which is on the vertical panel, and it comes down and just pretends smacks the ball, but it's like a wow factor, and it's just a much better implementation of that particular feature. So,
Absolutely.
One thing I want to mention is Thor's hammer. There is an extra flipper button on the right side of the cabinet, and that's used to fire Thor's hammer, which is a critical aspect of the game as far as it's basically like a smart bomb that scores everything. So you build that up at the spinner. The button is there on the side, so learn where it is when you have it available to you. Very, very powerful.
Who here has all 3 American Pinball games right now? Houdini. Besides my service, anybody? All right, Tommy, you get the glass. Thank you, bud. So let's. We've got another question in the back. Got a couple more questions, and we have a little time, but then I got to make the announcement. So let's go back here. All right, Jason.
So what's the 5-year plan for American Pinball?
Ooh. 5-year plan. Well, make machines, continue to support our product, continue to make more machines, get into a rhythm to bring out to the public 2 games. I will just go on record right now saying that I wanted to have 2 games this year. There is problems with COVID and shipping and stuff. The goal is still to get American Pinball to get to 2 games a year. That's my goal. That's what I'm pushing the team. That's why, we have Scott, who's already talking about doing another game. We have Dennis working on his game, but we are still long-term. The nice thing is that, I don't know if some of the guys don't know this, but we turn a corner for American Pinball. In the last 10 months, we have management and ownership behind us going, go for it, okay? Before that happened, it was doom and gloom. So I'm happy that we have a great team. I'm happy to be with, Josh, and I'm glad that Michael and now Steve and all the guys, Dave Brennan and Sophia and a few others that are just now showing up, which is okay. And is that you, Faye? Yeah, Faye's here. So she did all the models for the game. This is not 3D stuff, guys. I know she's been trying to race here. She got stuck in Denver last week, so with Shelberg, who said, "Let's go to Denver." Wow, yeah, sure. Thanks, Jim. Okay. But we're really trying to do this, okay? And we want to bring the pinball to you and not tease you. So the goal is, going forward, all AP games will be released kind of in the same way. You're going to get notified. Go play it, okay? It's going to be in open locations. I had Tommy up at Nitro to get 2 games, but shipping games to Seattle and up into that area, 2 weeks. It's like, this is crazy. But we're getting it to him. He got here faster than the game got. Go ahead.
This is the first time in the history of pinball that a factory put out a press release that announced specific locations, not distributors, but end locations where the game could be played. That's never been done before.
Thank you, Marston. But you know what? That's where we grow, right? It's from those locations, the people putting the coins in. Jack Bar, people walking up, standing in line. I love getting the report from Jack Bar, and they're like, yeah, they're queuing up 4 at a time to play it. Entertainium up here in Schaumburg. I know the general manager. He calls me up. He says, I look over at your game. There's always somebody standing there. The earnings reports are showing it. So I love to report that back to Replay Magazine and show that, hey, it's an unlicensed title, but it's a good game. It's something people want, and they want to be there. Go ahead, Jeff. DC, Washington, DC? I knew as soon as you put your hand up, BC, I'm like, okay, he's going to say British Columbia. DC. Okay, the White House or someplace. I don't know. We'll figure that out. All right, so, Scott, do you any of you guys have a good last question, the grand prize question, before I make this announcement? Or maybe I'll make the announcement, and then we'll do... All right, let you guys pull something together. Hey, Steve, hand me that right there. The magazine. I'll call you up in a second, Mike. Hold that thought. Okay, so you got the game magazine. All right? And this is the announcement. You guys ready? On the front, it says, An American Dream. Right? Homebrew guys, please stand up. All the homebrew guys that are in the audience, please stand up. Gentlemen, you have 1 year to bring to Pinball Expo next year to compete for American Pinball's American Dream Contest. You'll bring it to us here. We will vote on it as a community and as a team. And if we like it, we'll put your game in the American Dream, like Scott's, into production. I know it's here. No, it's not a mic drop moment. That's right. New, never been seen before. He is absolutely right. And Josh Kugler, you have a chance. It's open to you too, if you want it. It's open to anybody. So if you've never been a home brewer and you want to do it, on that P-Rock system, let's talk, guys. Come on. You got 1 year. We're going to vote on it. You got those nice little cards. We voted on this year's. So next year's, we're going to have some fun with this.
I'm just going to say real quick, too, for all the homebrew people out there, my email is scott@riotpinball.com. And if you guys have any questions as you're scaling up your designs or just want to understand a little bit more about the path I had, I'd be more than happy to answer whatever questions you have. So feel free to email me, and I'll do my best to respond to them. But scott@riotpinball.com.
We'll also happily talk you out of it if that's what you need.
And trust me, guys, it's going to take some time to do this, but we'd love to see what you guys can come up with 1 year. And that's what most game designers do in a year. So you're up to the challenge. Hey, a lot of the young designers have come down this homebrew line. We're opening it up to keep bringing some more talent to the pool. Okay? So I think that's big. Michael, do you have your question?
What's the prize we're giving away? Ooh. Question is, Botter. Botter Playfield. Jeff Botter. All right. So in Legends of Valhalla, there are 4 tiers of legends that you battle against.
Tier 4 is the highest tier. What are the 4 legends in Tier 4?
I said them about 20 minutes ago, so.
Okay, so what are the 4 tiers? 4 legends. What on the 4th tier? Come on, guys. You guys are all open to win a playfield here. This is not a cheap playfield either, so. Got a hand? Somebody? Do, 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 do. Oh, I got somebody who says he can do 3.
Yeah.
All right, give me. Yeah, it's good enough. We'll give
Close
it to him.
enough.
No? Am I wrong?
Close enough.
Close enough? What was the one he's missing?
So Thor is the god of thunder. We've got Balder, and then Tyr, who's the god of justice, who has lost his right hand, and then we got Loki, who is obviously the god of mischief. But
Congratulations.
yeah. And incidentally, Odin is Jeff Teolis, who did just, again, a phenomenal job of being the narrator.
Yeah. Jeff,
Thank you,
stand
Jeff.
up, will you please? Hey. And I'm not going to say any spoilers, but Jeff's going to do another voice somewhere in one of our games. I know that for sure. So maybe we'll get a Canadian version. All right. So, yes. Guess what? We got 5 minutes left. Is there any last questions? We may wrap it up. I would like to also give these guys a chance. Do we got some markers for you guys? Would you guys like to get your playfields and your back classes signed by the team? So why don't you guys come up? Thank you very much for coming. Homebrewers, you got the challenge. 1 year. Let's see what you can bring us. Thank you guys for coming.